being crazy. Great rising. All right, y'all know we supposed to be reading. Yesterday I cried. Peace and power. Peace and power. Yeah, I was late today. I had got just caught up blocking motherfuckers. I ain't even gonna lie. It wasn't no praise. It wasn't no worship. I wasn't doing yoga, none of that shit. I was just blocking it. Listen, and I had to block one brother I'm really fond of. That shit hurt. That shit hurt me. But why are you posting pictures? Like, listen. You know you don't want nobody lying in your face. Am I right or am I wrong? I don't want nobody lying in my face. It's really hard for me to stay Facebook friends with people who I know personally that post different than they live. Okay, like I get it. You a rapper, right? It's just for entertainment. Stop it, I say. So I had great rising, peace and power. I had to block some folks just on the. Let me see if this putting this here don't block out my comments. It will. I like it so you can see me better, but I got to make sure I can see my YouTube comments. So just rock with me. Okay. Hold on. Let me write it down. Let me write it down so I remember to check. He said, hold on. Ray Francis, because yeah, they'll put you on spam quick. They even spam accounts that I'm actively chatting on. Like, what the fuck is that about? Anyway, great rising. We picking up with yesterday I cried. Ayana Van Zant. Thank you, sis. Thank you, sis. You should see I've been doing my little animal walks too. Now they ain't been good walks, but they've been animal walks. I've enjoyed that. And today I start the job. Today I start. And tell your mama stand up. Shit. Nigga, tell your mama stand up. Fuck out of here. Shit. We got the same thing. I can Garon goddamn Tia. Yes, and I did put goddamn in the middle of Garon goddamn Tia. Listen, Ayana Van Zant. Yesterday I cried. We're picking up on page 47, I think. You gonna try? Oh, girl. That same brother who did the one animal walk video, he has quite a few of them. He got quite a few of them, though, sis. They're amazing. So y'all, when you get a minute, go on YouTube and look up animal walk exercises and just challenge yourself to see what of those you can and can't do. All right, that's cool. I gotta focus though. Peace and power. We on 2 screens, so if I don't see your comment, give me a second to get to it. Chapter 2. What's the lesson? Hold on. Okay, Google. Pause. What's the lesson when you are an unwanted, neglected, and abused child? When you meet anyone, remember it's a holy encounter. As you treat them, you'll treat yourself. As you think of them, you'll think of yourself. Never forget this, for in them, you will find yourself or lose yourself. Great rising, great rise. We're picking up on chapter 2, Ayana Van Zant. Yesterday I cried. Like everyone else in the neighborhood, Rhonda's house had a front room. It didn't matter that the room was in the back of the house. The front room was the code name for where you kept the good stuff. Having a house or an apartment that was big enough to contain a room full of good stuff was a good thing. Rhonda remembers the forbidden front room being full of plastic covered furniture, knickknacks and whatnots, and the Christmas candy, which also served as Easter candy and Thanksgiving candy and Halloween candy. On this, listen, I got mine now full of crystals because I'm woke and shit, but I remember my grandma had this jar full of all the candy that you didn't want. Full of all the candy that you didn't want in the room that you didn't go in with the couch that you bet not sit on. All right. Having the good stuff, having a room full of good stuff is a good thing. Rhonda remembered the forbidden front room being full of plastic covered furniture, knickknacks and whatnots, and the Christmas candy. On this particular day, the front room was full of people. Everyone that Rhonda had come to know as family, friends, or acquaintances from the neighborhood was in the front room. The mailman, the milkman, and the fishman were all there. It wasn't so much that they were in the room. It was that they were eating in the front room. No one ever ate in the front room, particularly not the children. Rhonda learned from experience that when you enter the front room, you walked stiffly, keeping both hands at your sides, allowing only your eyes to move around. This was the only way to keep from breaking something. But on this day, people were sitting on the plastic covered furniture, eating mounds of food from paper plate. Rhonda knew that this was not a normal kind of celebration. The doorbell rang constantly, announcing groups of people bearing covered platters of food. The men all wore suits. The most of the ladies wore hats. Everyone wore black except the church mothers, who were also there. Some of the children from Sunday school were there too. The people, the food, the excitement, the suspense of not knowing what was really going on were somewhat overwhelming. As little Rhonda moved through the room, listening and watching everyone, she passed. Hold on one second. Hold on, let me get my H2O. So, hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm trying not to get I'm trying not to get distracted. I'll say 2 seconds. 2 seconds, and Ife be on some whole other shit just then. I'm going back to the book. Going back to the book. Mm. Mm-hmm. Hold on. It's a little warm in here today. I'll put negros and frijoles in their respective places. All right, here we go. So give me 1 second. As little Rhonda moved through the room, listening and watching everyone, she passed, reached down over to pat her on the head, almost sympathetically. She didn't know why they were patting her, and no one bothered to explain. Rhonda hoped that if she was gracious and smiled politely after each pat, she might be rewarded with a big piece of chocolate cake that was calling out from the kitchen. Unfortunately, between her cake stood Grandma. Between her and the cake stood Grandma. To Rhonda, Grandma always seemed larger than life. Today, she really was. Grandma was standing at the door greeting a group of people who had just arrived. She usually let the people hug her. Nobody ever hugged Grandma, never, except Rhonda's brother Ray. And Grandma was wearing her pearls. The pearls she only wore to church. Hugging, pearls, eating in the front room. This was serious, very serious. Grandma, Rhonda called out in her sweetest voice. She looked right past Grandma to the chocolate cake that was now winking at her from the kitchen table. Go sit down and get yourself dirty. Go sit down and don't get yourself dirty, Grandma barked before Rhonda could complete her question. Rhonda knew by the tone of her voice that Grandma meant business. She also knew that Grandma wasn't about to risk letting Rhonda get icing all over her new clothes. Grandma had dressed her in a brand new dress and brand new slip and brand new panties and socks with ruffles, of course. One look at Grandma's face and Rhonda knew she had better turn on the heels of her new shoes before she got in trouble. Even though no one had told her so, Rhonda knew she had done really well so far that day. Because she could get back to the front room with all the grown-ups dressed in black and plates of food, somebody yelled out, "The car is here." Without warning, Rhonda was being buttoned into her good gray coat with the fur collar and the matching muff. Then she was whisked off down 4 lights and stairs onto the front steps of the building. There was a big black car waiting at the curb. When the big black car pulled away from the curb, there was already a line of other cars waiting to follow it. Rhonda remembers playing with the handle on the inside of the rear door of the car, and she remembers getting slapped for it. That's where her memory of the events of that day end. Okay, I said I was gonna not get distracted, but I do have to tell you this because we're talking about Rhonda, who is Ayana Van Zant before she found herself and was given the name Ayana. Um, so we all have an old version of ourselves, a young version of yourselves. For me, it's Kimberly. And I remember when people ask me what made me stop believing in God when I was younger, I didn't even know how to answer that. So I'm 14 and people are asking me, why don't I believe in God? At 14, all I know is atheist. I haven't even, this is uncharted territory. So I don't even know that there's a such thing called agnosticism. All I know is you got Jesus or you got hell. Just being real. And I remember one time I was at a Pentecostal church with my aunt, and like I remember praise and worship. I remember shouting and jumping and fanning and falling out. I mean, it was a really small white church. I almost feel like I can remember that you could feel if you sat still enough the entire building moving from all the praise and worship. The thing is, I remember asking the lady next to me, who was a friend of my aunt Sharon's, and I asked her, what's happening when that happens? What's wrong with my aunt right now? She crying and sweating and laying out on the floor like, what's going on? She's saying things I don't understand. And so the sister is explaining to me that she's speaking in tongues, and that's when the Holy Spirit hold on, let me get my respect together. She tells me that this is when the Holy Spirit moves through the body. Okay. This is when, yeah, everybody know the Holy Ghost. Okay. They got the Holy Ghost. I'm like, okay, cool. And I remember I started shaking and jumping and shouting and laying out. Like I started flailing. And right when I went to take off and start running around the church like everybody else, because I wanted to have the Holy Ghost too, my aunt grabbed the back of my shirt. She had the back of my dress like that. And she yoked me back and she pinched me. And my memory stops there. Sort of. Like I remember her pinching me. I'm sure it's because I was young, because I felt like she turned my I remember crying to my sister. She turned my arm like an oven knob. Like that bitch took my shit from off to high. And anyway, after she pinched me, she said to me very sternly, "You don't play with the Lord." And she let me go. And then she went right back on to like, "Oh, Basham kind of la host." And I'm like, wait the fuck. If that wasn't playing with God, then I don't know what is. A sister had just explained to me that you have no control. You are completely removed from your mind, body, and spirit when the Holy Ghost step in, because you got the energy of Jesus in you. Like, you don't know what the fuck is. You are, listen, you have gave yourself away so he can use you. But Auntie wasn't being that used. I'm thinking, based on the way she just explained it, you have no control over when you go into the Holy Ghost. You have no control over when you come out. And it'd be a surprise if you remembered the things that you saw and did while in that state, because it wasn't of you, right? But when she went on to take two of that shit, like, now I understand that we fall far from God by having faith in man instead of spirit. I get that now. But then I was too young, and to talk about God or not God is too sensitive a subject for children to cover. So I just had to build on the false notions that Kimberly had. And what Kimberly built with was that these people are all pretending. Ain't no God in here. Ain't no God in here. What Kimberly put together was the same niggas that's fucking sucking and snorting coke off the spade table at my auntie house on Saturday night is the same motherfucker shuffling here to put on the two shake for pretend on Sunday rising. And so early, I started looking for the truth of who God was, because those events were enough to discredit Jesus and God as I knew. All right. Just sharing that with you, because I tell my children all the time, let's talk about random things, everything. If you have a random thought, let's discuss it, because if not, you actually grow that idea. You feed that idea and you begin to believe it when you're an adult. So why your parents separated, what happened, why your sibling was raised with your grandmother instead of your family, why you were up for adoption, like all these types of things. If you have in your head that it was because my mama didn't like me, because my daddy didn't love me, because she chose somebody over me, if you've cultivated these false ideas or perceptions, the things that help you cope as a child, it helps us as adults to revisit those things. Anyway, we're talking in this chapter. Yesterday I cried. I'm about to get back to I'm about to get back to the page. We're talking about in this chapter the lessons when you are unwanted, abused, or neglected as a child. Okay. Yeah, she did. It was a good show, though. It was a good show, Mark, because the bitch had me convinced. I had a blueprint. I was like, this ass, that floor in a second. And as soon as I tried to lay that ass out, listen, the rapture. I was caught up in the rapture. All right, here we go. So we're going now, and we know that she's going to a funeral. And we know also that she's not been advised. She doesn't know what she's doing. She just notices that things are really, really off or different than they usually are. Okay, we're back in the book now. We're back in the book. It says that's where her memory, I'm going to start one sentence back. Rhonda remembers playing with the handle on the inside of the rear door of the car, and she remembers getting slapped for it. That's where her memory of the events of that day end. It was I should say this too before I go, not because I want to interrupt again, but because Spirit says so. There are a lot of us who were denied a lot of freedoms and fun and fancy by our parents when we were younger. And so now we have it in our heads that we want to give our children these things. So we're doing more with them. We're allowing them more than what our parents allowed us. And that's peace. But I don't think here's an example. You want to take your children to Six Flags because you want to show them something nice. You want to do something with them and build some memories. But on the way, the morning of, you fussing and cussing and yelling, telling them you shouldn't have did this. I shouldn't take y'all ass no motherfucking way. You this, you that. Why you got your shirt dirty? Why you ain't did your hair? Why you ain't brushed your teeth? You got me all in. And you don't realize that you're doing this so that you can create beautiful memories for them. But they're in like long term, all they're gonna remember is this part. All right. The part where you bickered, the part where you yelled, the part where you were angry, the part where you were frustrated, the part where you kept going on and on about itemizing all the shit you do for the motherfuckers that you birthed anyway, and what all the fuck you shouldn't do. Like, we got to be careful. Okay. We got to be careful because you don't know what part will be retained. All right. So make sure it's all peace on the books. It was many, many years later before someone had the decency to explain to Rhonda that the reason all the people had come to the house, eating the food in the front room and patted her on the head was because her mother had died. She didn't remember the funeral, barely remembered her mother, yet somehow she kept a flower from her mother's casket, her dead mother's casket. She kept it in a Bible that she'd won at Sunday school for memorizing and reciting in order the 66 books of the Bible. She remembered winning the Bible more than the flower in the Bible because the day she won it, Grandma almost smiled at her. Not quite, but almost smiled at her. Grandma Rhonda and Rhonda's brother Ray lived in a 4-story walk-up on a busy street in Brooklyn, New York. Although Daddy was supposed to be living there with them, he actually just stopped by every now and then. Daddy was a numbers runner. He was one of the biggest numbers runners in the neighborhood. Rhonda could count on seeing him at least twice a day. Once when he came to figure up his morning number sheet, and again when he came to figure up his evening number sheet. The rest of the time, Daddy left Rhonda alone with Grandma. Grandma, Daddy's mother, was a big lady, 5 feet, 10 inches tall, with a large, solid frame. Grandma had a beautiful head full of salt and pepper hair and chiseled features and deep-set eyes. Grandma never wore fancy or stylish clothes, but she would put on a little shiny pink lipstick when she was going to church. There was something about Grandma's face that was soft and strikingly beautiful in a cold and distant way. If you looked at her quickly before she opened her mouth to speak, you would almost believe that Grandma was gentle, loving, and nurturing. It was this side of Grandma that Rhonda remembers only vaguely. What Rhonda remembers clearly and will never forget about Grandma is her large breasts, big feet, and her huge, gnarled hands. On the days when she didn't appear strikingly beautiful, Grandma was wickedly mean. She'd squint those beady, intense little eyes as she hissed or screamed a command, letting Rhonda know it was time to get out of the way. Rhonda used to run from Grandma, but she always came to a screeching halt at the door that led to the front room. Rather than run in there and risk breaking something, she would turn, head for the bedroom, and dive under the bed. Rhonda had enough sense to know that she had to do everything in her power to get away when Grandma was upset. She had to first tire her out. If she didn't, the power and strength of those huge hands would leave a lasting impression on some part of Rhonda's anatomy. If she could get away for just a few minutes, giving Grandma time to calm down, she would have a chance of surviving. As children, we learn a great deal about our ability to survive and get by. Hold on right quick. I'm going to give you that again because I got a feeling this is going to be a good one. As children, we learn a great deal about our ability to survive and get by in life by the way we are treated. It is ultimately our ability to withstand or understand the treatment we receive as children that determines what we think about ourselves as adults. Shit. God damn it. God damn it. All right. Hold on. Give me a minute. Shit. I'm trying to push through. Quite random. This is a letter. You know, my house is the happy house, right? You know, I have all the neighborhood children over here all the time because I feel like if they're here with me, they safe. Even when I'm tired, I've canceled many a dates, and I'm kind of looking for a man out here. I've canceled many a dates because some other sister wanted to go out in them streets, and I'm like, you know what, sis? I'll go ahead and keep the kids. I'm cool with that. You hear me say that all the time? This is a sacrifice that I look for, I aspire to make, and I'm proud of it. Compromising my personal time, sacrificing personal time to keep our babies safe is what I choose to do. I was cleaning up the other day and over the weekend, and I found this. Okay, I'm gonna read it to you. I'm gonna use fake names. So anytime I see a name, I'm gonna just put in a fake name. Okay. Again, this was not given to me. I found this cleaning up my house, the area that the children play in. I required them to write. I required them to read. Sometimes we do no device days, and on those days they usually writing or drawing. All right, here we go. My wish list for myself. I promise you I'm going to get my shit together. Just give me a minute. I wish that, hold on. I'm going to use me and my sister names so I don't forget the names, okay? My wish list for myself. I wish that Kim and Kelsey, damn it, give me a minute. Let me get some fresh air. Just hold the fuck up. I swear I'm coming to you. Give me 1 second. Let me get my shit together. Oh, shit. I know exactly what I need. Okay, Google. Play Toba Wigway. Let's get it. Okay. Okay. That's it. Get a little bit of medicine. All right. Get a little bit of medicine going on. I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be all right. Hold on. All right. Here we go. My wish list for myself. I wish that Kim and Kelsey will stop making jokes about me being a stripper. That makes me feel hated and like a mistake. It feels like they know my personality is trash. And my brother is the one that treats me like a rude man. He likes he likes to control me. In fact, he hits me on purpose. I get bullied, but I am scared to tell. Give me a minute. None of this shit is even spelled right, B. All right. Like, no bullshit. Purpose. Purpose is spelled Pirpis. All right. I get bullied, but I am scared to tell someone. Now, all these people I talked about, now it's no need to cheer me up because I know how I am hated. Okay? All right. Now let me go get a tissue, and then we're going to go. Then we're going to come back. Hold on. All right. Whew. It's the wrong day, and I have no reefer. Listen. Okay. Okay, here we go. Should have got more than one paper towel. Hold on right quick. All right, here we go. I say y'all do more holding on than hold on. Hold on. Okay. All right. This particular baby, a couple of things. She's a mean girl, so to speak. All right. She's a mean girl, if you will. And I say that so you'll know the definition of it. You've seen the movie, the snobby one, the snooty one, the one that purposely like popping her neck and snapping her fingers. And then people like, yeah, like outwardly expressing and obviously pretend assessment of superiority. I hope I ain't lose you on that shit because I don't even know where that came from. Okay? But that's what it is. It's a self-defense mechanism. Okay? It's a self-defense mechanism in an effort to give yourself higher esteem. You walk around people without downing them, just purposely making yourself feel more up, making sure they see it. Listen, all right. So she got some mean girl tendencies. All right. And that's part of the issue because life is reflective. Life is reflective. If I'm the type of motherfucker who would take roaches out of somebody's ashtray, then if I have people over here and then I can't out and the roaches not out of my ashtray, I'm going to assume somebody took them. Never mind, I actually smoked blunts outside because that's where I had guests this time, so I didn't bring the roaches in. If in my mind this is how I am, I'm going to naturally believe that other people are that way too. It is how people who are kind finish last. You out here being nice and kind and gentle and loving and all inclusive, and you're expecting reciprocity, and sometimes, sometimes you don't get it back. Anyway, that's like natural wiring. That's like it's part of this avatar. Okay, it's not abnormal to project, is what they call it, to project. Anyway, it's a lot of projection going on here too, because this kid is a bully. So we gotta address that too. Now, when we were younger, they were like, you manage, she managed or she fast. And unfortunately, they said those things about us. And a lot of those young girls who they called fast or manage actually grew into promiscuous young adults or promiscuous teenagers. Okay. A lot of that is you acting out who you are. You know what I mean? Like acting out who you are. When a mother tells his son how glorious he is, how wonderful he is, even when he does something that falls short the glory of that, he tries to hide it or repair it for her. Like you try to stand tall in the name that you've been given. And somebody be like, oh man, he's a stand-up guy. Oh, he keep money on deck. The guy who always got money, who keep money, when he's broke, he gonna be disappeared as fuck. Listen, we're gonna keep on going. We're gonna keep on going. Projection is real. I'm gonna address that with the baby too, in case you're wondering. We are gonna have we're going to sit down together, all of us. I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen from that point, but we're gonna sit down and we're gonna all talk about it. Okay, we're gonna all talk about it. This little girl, her dances are a lot more provocative. She's got a lot more flexibility, and even she's 7. But we're gonna be honest. This is not no pedophilia shit. This is us being honest. Our children are developing very quickly. You can blame it on medicine. You can blame it on food, evolution. Call it whatever the fuck you want. All I'm saying is my 7-year-old got titties. I have to purchase bras to send a 2nd grader to school. So listen, my daughter can do something on a TikTok video in complete innocence, and somebody will call me like, girl, did you see what your daughter done put on the internet? Listen, perfect example. Hold on right quick. Let me make sure my ass put up. So listen, the little Moana joint comes out, right? The Moana movie. And all the little kids in my family is putting on shows. They want us to play the Moana music while they do the little Hawaiian shit. We done got them grass skirts at the Dollar Tree. This how all the kids in the neighborhood doing it. This how my 7-year-old doing it. Like wait the fuck a minute. And she ain't out here advertising. She ain't looking, she ain't being fast or mannish or pushing her stripper personality. Like none of that shit is happening. She's just being free. She's just being free, and people are receiving her based on their own environment and based on their own experiences. So we're going to sit down, the group of us, me and the children, and we're going to talk about our experiences and our interactions so we understand each other better. Reminds me of a time when I was in the 4th grade, and one of the teachers told me that to stay back after class, and she walked me to the nurse's office to change my shorts. And I'm thinking, people who piss on themselves or have periods have to have their shorts changed. So I mean, I'm not saying anything. And again, like Rhonda said, oftentimes nobody exchanges information with the children. We don't give and take. We just kind of move around them, processing them the way government process us. Like this beyond them, this above them. They wouldn't understand this. And so she's not explaining anything to me. And finally, I think it was my fear alone that I would get in trouble for coming home with clothes that I didn't leave out in, that I was like, I can't just let this happen without saying something. So I say, why do I have to change again? And she said that my shorts were too short. I did the fingertip test and I showed her where they went down to where they, and then she explained to me that because of my body type, things are going to look differently on me. And she said it as respectful as she could. There's some little girls whose bodies are shaped far differently than yours. So when they wear it, it's not as distracting. Okay. It's not as distracting. I just want to make sure you're safe, is what she said. I just want to make sure you're safe. And I changed the shorts and shit and all of that and all of that. But again, all of these things, all of these things, like our babies are carrying, y'all. Our babies are carrying. And I know that if she feels like, everybody feels like her personality is trash, everybody feels like her value is showing her ass or shaking her ass for money, if everybody feels like she's worthless to her, okay, then eventually she'll believe those things about herself also. And she'll carry those things with her. And a lot of those things will begin to manifest as such, you know. So we're going to get to it. I just want us to be more mindful of the children, like really mindful of the children. Hold on, let me blow my nose and then we're going to read a little bit more. Hold up. I tell you, sit this ass on this yoga mat. It's a little sweaty. Hold on. Y'all got me here crying and shit. All right, hold on. Make sure we straight. Hold on. That one is a little blurry. All right, cool. All right. Back to it. When I have the sacred circle with the children, where we just sit around and do exchanges about sex and drugs and money and finances and future and conflict resolution, the next time we have that talk, if the kids are comfortable sharing, then I will go live and share it so that your children can be a part of it also. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll let you know how that goes. My children can be real finicky. And sometimes they get super private. All right, we're going to keep on going. All right, we only been on for 30 minutes or so that's good. All right, where we at? Deep set eyes. Something about grandma. What Rhonda remembers clearly. Large breasts. She used to run from grandma. All right. As children, we learn a great deal about our ability to survive and get by in life by the way we're treated. It is ultimately our ability to withstand or understand the treatment we receive as children that determines what we think about ourselves as adults. I know I said I wasn't going to get distracted. Let me just tell you this. When you, multiple choice helps children the same way that it can stagnate adults. So if I ask a man, are we going out tonight or not? I give him multiple choice. I give him the out. Are you going to call me back tonight or not? You know what I mean? Can I talk to you right quick or are you busy? I should just say the one way. Am I going to see you tonight? Are you going to call home tonight? That's it. Okay. With children, because they aren't armed to speak freely, you do best almost to corner them with multiple choice. I hate to say corner, but we got to call it like it is. You've done it. You've applied at a job before, and they've asked you multiple choice, asked you a question with multiple choice answers, and none of those answers are fitting. But you have to answer one of those. None of those are fitting, but you have to answer one of those. That way you'll get the one that's closest to, okay? That's closest to, and that helps. So if I ask a child, how does your mom react? How does your mom handle anger? When your parents are upset, how do they resolve it? Okay. If I say that and someone is afraid to say, my mama throws shit, or someone's sad to say, my father beat the shit out of my mama. When I say multiple choice, they throw things and curse, okay? They cry or they talk it out. Okay, maybe they throw things first and then they talk about it. Maybe they do like our parents used to do, sit down and talk to you and then beat your ass. But by cornering you into just these three, I can work around those to find out what's really happening. All right, pushing on. When grandma wasn't being cruel, mean, angry, or violent, she was, at best, cool. Grandma never showed emotion unless Rhonda's brother was somehow involved in the situation. She hardly ever smiled unless she was smiling at Rhonda's brother. She would laugh at Jack Benny or Amos and Andy on the television, but that really didn't count. The only way for you to know that she was pleased, not angry with you, was when she would stare poker faced in your direction and nod her head in the yes gesture. Grandma was Rhonda's primary caretaker after her mother's death. In a very cold and overt way, Grandma taught Rhonda her first lessons about mothers and mothering, as well as almost everything she believed to be true about herself. Like most women of her era and race, Grandma earned her money as a domestic worker. Back then, it was called day work. It was hard, grueling work for which Grandma was paid very little. She earned more as a cook than she did as a cleaning lady, but work as a cook required more hours away from home. There were special days when Grandma would take Rhonda to work with her. On those days, Grandma taught Rhonda everything she knew about cooking, cleaning, and ironing. And hold on, give me a second. And although no one ever told her or so, Rhonda knew she had learned very well. She knew it because if she ever made a mistake in the madam's house or with the madam's clothes, the wrath of grandma's hands or mouth would come crashing down on her. When your primary caretaker is distant and aloof, it can be very confusing. You don't know whether to try and please her or be desperately afraid of what will happen if you don't please her. This is random also. Anytime I start reading about mothering and parenting, I think about my daughter as a life coach, okay, or a health coach. I'm into numbers. Like there's no stone that we shouldn't turn over to find out how you going. So it ain't like, are you into rocks or are you into Jesus or no? Are you like, I don't give a fuck what you into. If you into healing, we calling all stops. Yeah, we calling all the stops. Hold on right quick, y'all. Hold on. Mm. When I consider raising my own children, because I've interacted with so many women who were Pisces women whose mothers were Gemini, or Gemini women whose mothers were Pisces, and the general consensus that they love each other and they get along just fine, but the Pisces is often baffled as fuck and a little bit frustrated, but cool though about what the fuck the Gemini has going on. You know, and when I learned this, like I'm every time I talk to a woman and she'll tell me about her relationship with her mother, and so I'm logging everything so that my notes show me that oftentimes this mother-daughter combination, Pisces Gemini, has a really unique relationship. A really unique relationship. It made me look at my relationship with my daughter much differently. I encourage you to do the same thing with your children. It doesn't matter if you're into it or not. Give it a shot. Know your life path number. Know their life path numbers. And the same way you check compatibility every time you see a cute nigga on the gram, check the compatibility of the zodiac signs between you and your children. It'll help you there too to figure out how how to move. I've said this a million times. I used to think my daughter was lazy and it created a problem for me. The Gemini is airy. The Gemini is always moving. The Gemini is doing so much. A lot of this shit ain't going to get done. So to look at a sign that is slowly getting things done, maybe we don't know if the shit getting done because you're moving too goddamn slow, man. That used to be a problem for me. I'd be like, yo, Daisy used to be her nickname. I'd be like, Lazy Daisy. She'd be like, Mom, please don't call me that. Now I understand that Pisces is the end of the zodiac. All right. I know they tell us that it's the Sag or some shit, but we know in the 13 months, we know that the Pisces is the end of the zodiac. The Pisces is at the end of the year, at the beginning of spring. So the Pisces in spirit is tired. It's gone through all the season, all the months, the minutes, the hours, the days, the weeks. It's just tired. It know it got to keep going, but it ain't got to get there right now today. You know? And now that I know that about her, that means I tell her at 3 o'clock when she get home, instead of me saying at 7 p.m., Zion, go take a shower. Then I'm wondering why at 7:30 the girl's still looking for socks and a washcloth. I tell her now at 3 o'clock, Zion, I need you to take a bath before 7 p.m., okay? Up to you when to do it. By 7 p.m., I'm going to check with you and I need to know that it's done. Now we don't have that problem. I have learned how to respect the way she is and the way she moves naturally, not personality. Girl, you just like your motherfucking daddy. No, actually, she's just like every other Pisces in the world. And so it helps to be more familiar, okay? It helps to be more familiar. We have to. You go and training every time you start a new job. You have had to go through training. We are trusting you with our business and our livelihood. The future of this organization relies on you to get this information in accurately. Why wouldn't we put the same care in the training for our children? Like we just do whatever the fuck and be like, y'all, you know you ain't come with no book. Wait a minute. Wait. All right, it's peace. It's peace for the women that I know. It's a lot of women who I know are doing the work. And so I'm proud of those women too. And brothers too. There's some brothers too. Brothers usually be like, this is random. I'd be like, brother, you know, you be with your daughter and it be difficult and you don't get along with the mother. You trying to figure, you should look in the numbers and sun signs and shit. And be like, oh, I'm already hip on all that, queen. I'm hip on all that. That nigga be dead the fuck on Google as soon as we get off the phone. I ain't mad at you, baby. I ain't mad at you. Get it how you live. Hold on. So I tried my best not to call my oldest that, but she's a Sagittarius and yeah, I ain't never met no slow Sag either. They be some wild guys, okay? And by guys, I mean gals and guys. Yeah, just make sure we're not asking them not to be who they are intrinsically. Okay. I was in a marriage. I grounded myself and made vows to a man in a marriage, and those vows were really me promising away everything intrinsic to me. Like I am air. And I'm Gemini, all right? He's a beautiful man, beautiful Virgo, okay? He's a grounder like no other. Like the Virgo grounds. Listen, you could put a plant on a Virgo's palm and that bitch might sprout. They ground, okay? And I'm air. And not to say that those relationships can't work, they can, but we want to understand what's intrinsic to us. And we want to go with the flow of nature, not against it. So many times we wonder why shit is so hard, why shit is so hard, why shit is so challenging. We are really going against the natural grain of things. In winter, it is hard to stay fit and it is hard to stay happy and up. They actually call it the fall. There's a tremendous decline in business and emotions and everything. They call it the fall. So for those of us that fight tooth and nail to stay up during that time, it is much more of a challenge. The nature of it is to go ahead and decline. It's the end of the year. It's the end of this. It's hibernation. It's time for you to sit down, go to sleep. Those of us who refuse to do those things can feel the pull. Oh, yeah. You know, you said Geminis are special. All of them are special to me. All of them are special to me. It's beautiful because to me, it's like, it's chemistry. It's chemistry. That's what it is. And the people who are in power practice this chemistry. Okay. The people who are in power never randomly put two actors together or think who would be able to pull this off best. It's chemistry they look for. When they are casting people for movies, they are looking for chemistry, numbers and signs. Yes. Yes, we're looking for productivity. Now we're not going to put Denzel Washington in here just because he's fine. No, you see Pam and Gina, they go public all the time about this pact that they had that they wouldn't eat without the other. Like, y'all ain't the first ones to be black, and you ain't the first ones to be like, we gonna eat together. And it's been denied us over and over again. They don't give a fuck. They got niggas signing up to be buddies on the fucking military shit and still dividing them. So it's a good narrative and it sounds good. But the truth is, you guys were able to be casted together again and again and again because they saw the chemistry and the benefit of it. To cast one of you, we get semi-work. To cast the two of you, you are both operating at optimal wellness. The motherfuckers in the powers that be know this. We have to move the same way, okay? We have to move the same way. I'm much more likely to let my to invite over children that I know will have a magnetic chemistry with my children than ones like, imagine me inviting a bunch of Geminis over here to play with my Pisces baby. I'm gonna have her stressed the fuck out. And to say that you don't have to use these things as dictatorial tools. You just want to use them as resources. All right. You just want to use them as resources. Okay. Here we go. Back in the book. Yeah, because we've been really distracted now. So I'm not fucking with y'all no more. I'm just reading. All right. When your primary caretaker is distant and aloof, it can be very confusing. You don't know whether to try and please her or be desperately afraid of what will happen if you don't please her. When your primary caretaker is violent, you know that if you do the wrong thing or say the wrong thing at the wrong time in the wrong way, you could get slapped, pinched, screamed at, or punched. I said I wasn't going to do this. I'm going to just make it quick. This is the reason that I don't beat my children, okay? This is the reason why we do sacred silence, okay? Sacred silence. That's the punishment. You've been bickering, you've been arguing, you've been fighting, whatever the fuck you fucking up. Sacred silence. I require you to be quiet. So there's nothing you can do but reflect on your shit. But I'm not going to beat you. I'm not about to beat you, and I'm not about to hate. I'm not about to do that because I'm afraid that the first time a man put his hands on me, I was able to forgive him because I understood from a very early age. I understood psychologically that someone who takes care of you, someone who provides for you, all right, has the right, they have the privilege to beat you if you don't do what they've asked you to do the way that they've asked you to do it. This is in line with my upbringing. There were many times my mother or father told me to do something, to follow a certain rule or to wear a certain thing or not to go a certain place. And when I disobeyed, they beat my ass. So now here I am in relationship with a man, and he asked me not to wear that. He said he don't like me hanging out with that friend. He told me I needed to be in here before 11 o'clock p.m. And I wasn't, so he beat my ass, and I understand. He said he loved me. My mother did the same thing. Beat my ass and then come and hug me and tell me, you know, I love you. I really hate to beat your ass like that, but you be making me. And so when my man said, I really hate to black your eye like that, but you be fucking with me, I understood. This is the reason that I will not beat my children. The very first time anyone ever come close to hitting them, they not gonna know what the fuck have happened. This shit will be completely foreign, and I'm hoping that they will know it's exit time. All right? When your primary caretaker is violent, you know that if you do the wrong thing or say the wrong thing at the wrong time, the wrong way, you'll get slapped, pinched, screamed at, or punched. When your primary caretaker is violent and you are confused, you live in fear. Many children learn to live in fear as a result of doing the wrong thing. It is a fear that they keep to themselves. They dare not tell anyone because that would be the wrong thing to do, to say you're afraid, to admit you've done a wrong thing. Few children learn to do the right thing on their own. Most children learn about doing the wrong thing in confusing and violent ways. Rhonda was one of those children. Grandma was not good at explaining to Rhonda how to do things the right way, that they would please her. Another distraction. The sisterhood or the brotherhood, like the village is necessary. Your village doesn't necessarily mean you need to go outside and fuck with the people who live on the left and right of you and the person who lives across the street. The village is the circle of people that you trust to run your business the way that you would run your business. That means that when you find a letter like this in your house, if you don't have the wherewithal to have the sit down, if you don't know what to do, you have at least recruited in your immediate circle a sister or a brother who knows exactly what to say and exactly what to do. If you've not done that, if you've secured Jordans and shit, if you've secured summer camp for your baby, but you have not secured a village for your child, you have failed them. Straight up. You have failed them. If it's difficult for you to talk about sex and drugs, if it's difficult for you to talk about periods or death, then don't, but find someone who can. Straight like that. We're going to keep on pushing. in a very cold and overt way. They dare not tell anyone because that would be the wrong thing to do. To say you're afraid or to admit you've done a wrong thing. Few children learn to do the right thing on their own. Most children learn about doing the wrong thing in confusing and violent ways, and Rhonda was one of those children. Grandma wasn't good at explaining to Rhonda how to do things the right way, the way that would please her, but she was very good at letting Rhonda know what would happen if she ever told what Grandma did to her when she was not pleased. Big lesson here: grin and bear your grief, suffer in silence. Grandma said that silent suffering was good for the soul. Grandma would say, you're not supposed to complain. You're not supposed to complain about the hand that you are dealt by the Lord. Grandma loved the Lord and she loved church. She was a church lady, a big time church lady. Every Sunday morning, Grandma would wake Rhonda up, scrub her clean, and dress her for church. After she was dressed, her hair combed, and her face smeared with Vaseline, Rhonda would sit on the edge of the bed and watch Grandma get ready for church. Rhonda loved watching her grandma get ready for church. It was a ritual, a womanhood ritual. By watching, Rhonda learned a great deal about the anatomy of a woman's body and about the one thing strong enough to oppose Grandma. After bathing and putting Vaseline on her body, Grandma had to put on her girdle. The girdle was a huge, stiff white thing. It had shiny panels on either side of the lace panel that ran up the front. It also had legs. At the bottom of each leg were thick elastic bands with little hanging hooks for attaching stockings. Grandma didn't wear the pretty sheer stockings Rhonda had seen on other ladies. Hers were heavy and coarse. Watching Grandma trying to get into the girdle was the most interesting thing about the ritual. It posed the greatest opposition to Grandma as she wiggled, twisted, and pushed and pulled her body into it. It was quite a sight. Grandma's breast would swing from side to side, making a slapping sound against her skin. She would sweat, grunt, and struggle, but the girdle would hold firmly, refusing to cooperate. If she was rushing and hadn't dried herself completely, Grandma would have to jump up and down, pushing and pulling pieces of her flesh into the stubborn elastic compartments. There were the days when it appeared as if the girdle would win. Rhonda always rooted for the girdle. But in the end, with the love of the Lord motivating her, Grandma always subdued her spandex opponent. With the girdle defeated, she then put on her stiff white uniform, hook her thick white stockings to the girdle legs, put on her white shoes, and spray a little drugstore cologne on the back of her neck. If Rhonda had been particularly still and quiet, Grandma would spray a little cologne on her too. Together, they would walk stiffly down the block to the A train, then ride uptown to church. Rhonda guessed that Grandma spent too much time in church because she was always so angry. Angry with Rhonda, angry with Daddy. Grandma was angry at the world. Sometimes she would even get angry at food and throw it around the kitchen. Grandma had seen her slamming. Rhonda had seen her slamming a chicken into the sink and cursing to herself. Although church ladies weren't supposed to curse, Grandma had a pretty impressive vocabulary when the other church ladies weren't around. Her son, Rhonda's daddy, seemed to evoke the greatest anger in Grandma. You and your daddy cut from the same bowl of cloth. Ain't neither one of you ever gonna be shit. Whenever Grandma started down this path, Rhonda always knew where she would end up. Neither of you was worth the time it took to make you, and I'm sick to death of both of you. It was like a daily mantra. Each time she heard it, Rhonda wondered if her daddy felt the same way about her that Grandma did. She wondered if her daddy knew that she loved him no matter what Grandma said. Loving Daddy was an act of silent defiance, the only kind Rhonda could get away with. It's crazy because in my mind, that's how I feel about Jesus. I feel like if I deny my children church, if I tell my grandma and everybody and her grandma, don't take my children to church, don't be telling them about the Bible, don't tell them about no Jesus, they don't want to know Mark, Jake, and John. Like, I feel like if I do that, if in fact the truth that they're afraid to tell me that their friends are concerned because I practice voodoo and it's spooky, okay? It's creepy. My house is so much different and my beliefs are so much different than the people around me. I could easily see my children finding Jesus as a silent but defiant act, okay? Or anybody. It's why I'm open. I'm like, yeah, however you, yeah, shit. Y'all the ones who just came from the ancestors. I'm damn near 40 years removed from the source. Y'all just got here. Y'all tell me what the fuck y'all remember and we gonna move accordingly. All right, carrying on. Carrying on. Loving daddy was an act of silent defiance, the only kind Rhonda could get away with. Grandma was what they called, are we just going to be here for like 5 more minutes, yo? I see we damn near at an hour and I need to get my workout on before I got to get to the post office. Shamina, baby, we got 5 minutes. We got 5 minutes. Grandma was what they called a prayer warrior at church. For some reason, people believed that grandma's prayers were stronger and got through to God quicker than their own. Whenever someone was in need of prayer for their family, for a financial matter, a wayward husband, or any kind of illness, they would call on grandma. She would sit with them at the kitchen window, listen to their story, and then write a prescription on a piece of brown paper. Even some family members who knew that grandma was crazy would come to see her when they were desperate or in trouble. They all said that she had a gift. They also knew that she could pray for you or against you. It was the latter of which they were most afraid. Praying was a skill that grandma passed on to Rhonda. She put a great deal of time, energy, and effort into the prayer sessions she designed to teach Rhonda the mechanics of prayer, when to pray, what to pray for, how to pray for other people, and what to do while waiting for the evidence that a prayer has been answered. And with the same intensity she put into imparting the rigors of prayer, Grandma gave Rhonda a very good reason to pray. There was hardly a morning that Rhonda didn't wake up to find Grandma sitting at the window praying. Before sunrise, Grandma would sit with the open Bible in her lap, rocking back and forth on the kitchen chair, praying and singing hymns. Rhonda's memories of chicken frying in the pan and fresh roast bacon in the oven were colored with memories of Grandma singing, "What a Friend We Have in Jesus," "Nearer, My God, to Thee," and "Jesus, Keep Me Near the Cross." I felt that shit. Woo-wee. Mm-hmm. I felt that. Y'all don't take me to the king. I don't have much to bring. Listen, that and the drummer boy, bum. I'll be a whole Christian out here. All right. Ife, focus. You said 5 minutes. Just focus. All right. Here we go. Those were the same songs that Rhonda used to sing to herself when Grandma was angry and giving her a healing bath. Grandma was the reason Rhonda learned to pray about soap. She prayed that God or the appropriate saint in charge would let Grandma know that using more store-bought soap was not a sin. Grandma would make her own soap. Ooh, that made me praying for soap, man. Listen, my mother used to say these children are at the mercy of their mothers. That's what she would say when I had my first baby. Like, she would come and pick me up. Come and pick me up from my house, and I'll come downstairs with baby damn near like this right here. And she'd be like, "Lord have mercy. These babies are at the mercy of their mothers." I ain't understand it now, except I'm now the grandmother. I'm now caring and watching these young mothers do the most dumb shit. The most dumb shit. Like, what's really going on? All right. Surely, we are at the mercy of our mothers. Okay. All right. So every Sunday. Okay. Hold on right quick. Grandma, wake one up, scrubber. I already passed that. Praying for the soap. Okay, that's where we at. Praying for the soap. Grandma was the reason Rhonda learned to pray about soap. She prayed that God or the appropriate saint in charge would let Grandma know that using store-bought soap was not a sin. Grandma made her own soap. It was brown, odorless, and contained a variety of sticks, leaves, and pebbles that were quite abrasive to the skin. Rhonda prayed for the day she could use a bar of sweet-smelling soap that she would see in the supermarket, the kind that left a scent on your body that you could smell as you moved around the house. Buying soap when you can make your own is a waste of money. Wasting money, Grandma said, is a sin. Besides that, they both knew that Grandma's soap caused a lot more pain when Grandma gave Rhonda one of her special healing baths. Healing requires a special approach to the problem presented before you. On the days when Grandma was particularly angry and Rhonda had done something that particularly annoyed her, Grandma would resort to what she called a healing. Rhonda would be stripped naked and made to stand in the tub. Grandma would take the special scrub brush from behind the bathroom sink, then douse Rhonda with a pot of cold water. Using the homemade soap, Grandma would scrub Rhonda's small body from head to toe, including her face. She would scrub and pray, scrub and sing. Grandma would scrub until she saw blood. I'm going to scrub the devil out of you, she'd say. I'm going to wash this devil spirit away. Then she began to pray. The more she prayed, the harder she scrubbed. The harder she scrubbed, the more Rhonda whimpered. The more Rhonda whimpered, the louder Grandma sang. Pleading the blood of Jesus, I'm pleading the blood to wash away your sins. It was a ritual between Grandma and Rhonda, and it never stopped until Rhonda prayed out loud, please, God, tell Grandma I'm sorry. Sometimes, if Rhonda prayed loud enough or fast enough, Grandma would take pity on her. Most of the time, however, Grandma kept scrubbing and praying and singing until she saw the red of Rhonda's blood mixed in with the lather from the brown soap. When the bath was over, Grandma would rub Rhonda down in mutton tallow, a thick yellow substance made from the inside of a lamb's skin. Over time, Rhonda figured out that using mutton tallow was Grandma's attempt to hide the scars and bruises from the brush. Grandma called it waterproofing. It ain't going to rain today and you don't want to catch a cold. It's going to rain today and you wouldn't want to catch a cold. She would then smear the tallow all over Rhonda's body while she hummed her favorite hymns. Though Rhonda would be sore and battered from the bath, she was so glad to have somebody touch her in a somewhat gentle manner. The gentleness with which the foul-smelling mutton tallow was applied to her battered body was an answer to at least one of Rhonda's prayers. Dear God, please let rain wash away the pain. Let me see. All right, we are done, y'all. We are at our hour, and there are too many pages left in this chapter for me to keep going. But we'll be picking up at page 55 when we do come back. You know, we're doing this I know we want to be like, Queen, can you come back today and tomorrow? No. We'll resume in a week. If you're with me on my private group on Patreon, where it's $9.99 a month, and we heal and build and read every day, damn near, then you'll see me tomorrow. So if you're on Patreon with a private subscription to me, you'll see me tomorrow. If not, inbox me or comment. That's peace@gmail. You can go to ifeasa.com. Please go to ifeasa.com and buy some. Yeah. Yeah, inbox me if you're interested in being in a private group. Where really, it's just that simple. We're healing and building, and there are no set tools. It's like somebody asked me recently, what are your methods for healing? Whatever the fuck we need. Like little red devil, nigga, what you got? Give me two per. All right, really and truly. Okay. I say, and I got an announcement, but that's for the slumber party for the sisters who come in to spend the night, in February. So y'all ain't got to worry about that. That's exclusive. All right, I love you. And if you're in the house that love built, I'll see you tomorrow. And if you're not, I'll see you Friday. I love you. Peace. Peace, family. Peace, family.